Hey, it did it. Hello, my hey, my sweetnesses. Hey, welcome to Monique and Sydney's Open Relationship. I'm Monique.
And I'm Sydney.
And today, I'm so excited about this conversation because it's one that we don't hear about too often. Right?
Right. Especially for folks that look like us.
Okay, so y'all saw the title, right? Tell them what the topic is, Daddy.
Tell them, my mama.
Come on now. Come on now.
We do it every week.
Come on.
Tell them.
Is aliens and God one and the same?
And do UFOs exist?
And how come we're talking about this today?
Well, there's a multitude of reasons. What inspired it was a specific event that happened in 1994, and we were watching it on television in Botswana, and Zimbabwe, and it was called the aerial phenomenon, where a UFO allegedly landed and over 60-some children witnessed it in the middle of the day, and the parents did not believe these children who had all witnessed these things, and they were ranging in age, I believe, from, they said, 6 to 12. Mm-hmm. And they, black, white, Asian, all in this school. It was kind of like a private school, if you will, an upscale school in Zimbabwe. And long story short, these kids made these drawings who were not in the same room of this event. And they all made a similar thing, but they were being ridiculed by the parents and the adults. And it just sparked the question, do folks believe in UFOs? And are aliens / gods one and the same?
Well, someone just put down in the comments that aliens are demons.
Okay.
And they say it says that in the Bible.
Okay.
Well, now, I don't really know the Bible, so I can't speak on it if it says it or not.
No, do I. No, do I in that manner.
Y'all give us a call, 470-282-1802. Do you believe in UFOs and are aliens and the gods all one and the same? Mm-hmm. Well, I have a question, though.
Kick it.
And I don't know that if it's a question. Okay, I'm going to just put it out there, sure. Right? Where do you believe God is?
Let's let them marinate on that.
Come on, let's go to the lines. Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and where you're calling from?
Hi, Mom. This is Nicole. Hi, Sydney.
Hey, baby.
How are you?
Amazing. How you doing?
Wonderful.
I'm doing fine. I saw this topic and I was too excited to call in.
Well, come on, talk to us. Talk to us, Nick.
Okay, so let's see. Demons are not, angels are not demons, in my humble opinion. I believe aliens or UFOs are unidentified flying objects. Mm-hmm. So to me, if you believe in angelic forces, you should believe in angels. That's just how my mind works.
Say that again for people who may have missed that.
I'm sorry?
Say that again for people who may have missed what it was that you just said.
I said unidentified flying objects, which is what they call UFOs. If you believe in angels, you should identify with UFOs. A UFO is just a term they use to try to make you seem like you're a quack if you believe in the heavenly or celestial, beings. Mm-hmm. But I believe we do have a creator, the Most High Creator. Mm-hmm. But I also believe He's given us power to operate as God that's just the power I believe He's given us. And ironically, the Bible actually teaches that, but because it comes in the form of religion, people box Him in and they see what they want to see. That's just my opinion because I come out of Christianity. If you heard me say out of Christianity. But the information is there to find out. Mm-hmm. If you can kind of seek And I say I.
Mm-hmm.
So.
We love you, baby.
I love you too, guys. Have a great day.
You
Thanks,
too.
honey. Come on, talk on it.
Well, I appreciate the comment. And the reason why also we had this conversation, especially as it relates to people in general, sometimes it's a challenge, because when you think about God, and the question you posed was, where does God live?
Yeah.
Okay. So for those that believe in the God, whatever God you believe in, one would say, where do they live? Because just by definition alone, we know terrestrial means that your origins are from Earth, and extraterrestrials means that your origin are not from Earth. So by default, that would imply that God's origins, not being from Earth, would be considered an extraterrestrial. And then when you consider, the Nephilim, who allegedly came down, mated with mankind, which some refer to as, some would say, angels, beings from elsewhere, these would be extraterrestrials based upon definition. So oftentimes we kind of clamor at that idea, because on a daily basis, all we see is one another.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's a scary thought for many people to believe that there are beings beside ourselves. But when you do the sheer mathematics in reference to the hundreds of millions, they say, of galaxies that exist, and the hundreds of millions of solar systems within them, which means that there are even more planets within that the sheer math would say, if there's us, it would imply that there would be someone else prior to us. So,
well, here's what I think. When you say UFO, right?
mm-hmm.
And you look at our community,
Mm-hmm.
I think for us to say, I've seen it. I've seen something that don't match. I've seen something that don't look right or feel right.
Right.
We become too fearful because we don't want to be looked at like, oh, they crazy as hell. Ain't nobody seen nothing. And we want to know, have you seen something? Like, have you seen something when you looked up in the sky and it just, you knew damn well it wasn't no plane, wasn't no helicopter, wasn't no bird, wasn't Superman. You knew something was different, but was too afraid to say something looked different.
Something looked different. So feel free to reach out, 470-282-1802. We're talking about it today. Go to the line.
Come on,
baby.
let's go to it. Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and where you're calling from?
Oh, this is Tony, calling from North Carolina.
Hey, Tony.
Hey.
Hey, oh my God, this sound for real.
It's not. We be pretending. It's us, baby.
Let me just say this, Monique, and you also see me. I love y'all. And I've always loved you from the beginning. When I started hearing your interviews and y'all got that podcast and everything going, I really was able to relate to you. I said, this is I strive to be like. You are a strong sister, and I so much respect you and Sydney's relationship.
Thank you, baby.
Pray to God I can have a relationship like that one day.
Well, we appreciate it.
Off topic, but really, I just call it to say I love y'all. That's it.
We love you back, baby, and we appreciate that love call.
We appreciate it.
I love y'all. Keep going and stand strong, no matter what. Because just like the people that always the naysayers, trust me, you got so many people behind you.
Thank you, baby.
Very much.
All right,
We love you, honey. Come on now.
Come on now. Come on.
Do you believe in UFOs and is aliens and God all in the same?
Now, the reason why we spoke in reference to are aliens and God's the same, because if you get an opportunity to do a little research, you'll see that prior to the outer structures, the pyramids and things of that nature, and what we would refer to as religions, there are around the world what they refer to as cave art. And in this cave art, they're showing depictions of what we would refer to as modern day UFOs carved and painted inside of these caves, beings that we would refer to as alien grays. They keep showing these swirl signs, which some hypothesize is an example of the Milky Way galaxy. And these things are all around the world in places and spaces where one could not know the other at that time. So you then wonder, with all the religions that exist, why is it that inside of caves, before they began building these outside physical structures used by modern technology, or what was an advanced form of technology back then, to this day, there's certain things that we don't even understand how they were able to do. Why is it before that they're not referring to what we now know as God? They are showing symbols of beings that look like grays that are using spaceships to imply that they've had encounters with them all around the world.
What makes us afraid to speak on it? Let's go to the lines. Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hi, Monique. I'm calling from Los Angeles. This is Ota.
Hey, Ota.
How you guys doing?
Wonderful. Talk to us. Talk to us.
Okay. So, I heard you guys talking about the UFO thing, the alien thing. Well, about last year, I had moved to California, and sometimes our parents would tell us that, like when we sleep at nighttime, when I was growing up, they would say, well, you couldn't move in bed because you had a witch Friday. And I used to believe that when they used to tell me that, but as I got older, I started noticing that was no witch; it was something else. So around last year, sometime, I was watching a documentary on Netflix called "The Night Terror," and it was about sleep paralysis. So anyway, I watched everybody go through the stage of they couldn't be able to move at nighttime, but I noticed one thing about the documentary: everybody was the things that were happening to them at nighttime. It was always at nighttime. So what I did in my mind was that because I started having problems where I wasn't able to move at nighttime. Like when I would sleep, I felt like something was coming into my room, and by the time I would react to it, it would already had me held down in bed. It was pressing my head against the bed. It was manipulating the things in my room that I thought I was seeing, but I wasn't seeing, just to see my reaction. So after watching that documentary, I said, wait, everybody is having these problems at nighttime. And so one night, something had held me down, and I jumped out of it, and by the time I looked around, I saw something that looked like an ET in my room. Now, I questioned prior a week ago that had happened. I said, I hope nothing's probing me. But what I did was to change everything. I started leaving my lamp on. Now, I dealt with this for over 20 to 30, and I'm in my 40s. I'm 47 now. So all those years, it just got more aggressive to me. And I moved from different states. So when I left my lamp light on beside my bed, it all stopped happening. And I started questioning what I saw in my room. And I know I saw something that looked brown and gray. It looked like a ET. It freaked me out. I even had an incident where someone did break into my car. So I used my camera every night just to watch my front doorstep so I could make sure that there was somebody breaking into the car that would, catch them. But one night I was up around 12 midnight, and I saw this strange light above the house across the street from me. It just went right in front of my peripheral of my camera. It went 1, 2, and then it just poof, vanished. Now, not only that, I know you mentioned that people don't talk about these things, but I've seen more strange things in the sky, and I've had more strange things that have happened to me.
It ain't no devil. It ain't no ghost. It's just something that's weird that doesn't seem like it belongs. And it was manipulating my fear, like be scared to sleep or be just having a reaction out of it. And so, I've had friends who they didn't talk about it until I talked about it. And so once we talk about it, then we started to hear all these stories about, everybody talking about it. I got lost. I was coming from Arizona. I got lost, and all of a sudden my GPS lost me in what was 70 degrees. All of a sudden I'm lost. Turned out to be probably 20 below degrees. I had went my altitude higher to the Grand Canyon, and I started seeing weird stuff out there. Now you may say, well, why did all this happen to you? Well, maybe my mind is open, but I've seen some things that I've questioned. I've seen more weird things than I've seen God, and I love God, but I've seen more weird stuff that I don't believe belongs on this earth, but they are here on this earth. I've seen that stuff more than I've seen God.
And well, let me share this with you, if I may. And I think I can speak on behalf of Monique. I applaud, and we applaud your courage to say just what you said, yes. Because when you're confident enough to allow people to say that you're crazy or think that what you're saying is something made up, and you're only speaking that truth, that says a lot about you. And keep speaking up your truth, because what happens is, as you just said, it allowed other people, when you spoke up, to feel confident enough to say what you said. And just so you know, California is one of the hottest spots in the world for UFO sightings. And in a moment, I'm gonna share with you some of our experiences. So we appreciate you calling in, sister. Thank you.
We love you, Oka.
I love you too. Oh my God.
All right, my baby. Come on, y'all. We're talking about it.
Now, as we just said, we were gonna share our experiences. I'll say something that I've never said before. Just to you.
That's what I look like. All right now.
No, just to you. Because you get inspired by others' courage, so you feel like this is our, this is not by chance we're having this conversation.
Yes.
I believe that everyone in their life, they have things that are whispered to them from the time that they understand words. And they have a mission that they're sent on. And one of the things that was shared with me as a small child, I remember specifically about the second grade, that the voice shared with me that I would be allowed to see UFOs multiple times within the course of my life. And I questioned that. It says some other things, but this is one of the things that that stood out. And in doing so, I kind of questioned that. So to have the experiences that we've had, the first experience that I ever had where I saw a UFO, I was standing with a woman y'all might know. Her name was Monique. Sitting right here, by the way.
Hi.
And we were in Exuma in the Bahamas. And she had never seen a shooting star before. And I believe in symbolic things that happen in your life. And about 10 years prior, Monique had pulled up. I was on a basketball court playing ball. She had pulled up and we was gonna hang out. And the moment that I saw her, anybody live in Baltimore, cross street or what's that, Rolling Road in Church Lane. And the moment she pulled up and I saw her, and this is in the daytime, like later in the evening, but still daytime, a shooting star went right above her when she pulled up. Now, when I say right above, not like right above like a car, but in the sky. And what was unique is that it was daytime. It kind of stopped everybody on the basketball court. And I said to Monique when she pulled up, I said, did you see that shooting star pulling up? I mean, did you see that shooting star that came over your car when you was pulling up? And her reply was, nigga, that's what she said. How I'm gonna see a falling star, a shooting star, and I'm pulling up to stop and get you? I was like, that makes sense. That makes sense. So I said, had you ever seen one? She said, no. Fast forward to like 2004. We're in Exuma in the Bahamas. And all of a sudden across the sky is a shooting star. And she holds me and she said, wow, that's the first time I've ever seen in person a shooting star. And I said, wow, we get a chance to see that together.
Yeah.
So we're holding each other and I'm looking this way and she's looking this way. So then she says, is that another shooting star above right there? And I'm like, where? And she said, right there. And I still couldn't see it. Then all of a sudden, I see this object that looks like a white balloon. Now, let me just put this in context. This time it's 12 o'clock midnight when all of this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So the glare off the moon is showing this object that looks to be like a white balloon. And I say, that's not, it was like a balloon, a white balloon, but the moon was shining off of it. And you saw the reflection off of this object and not the object emanating any light from it. But then when it got overhead, and I mean, had we not been in the position we were in, you would never have seen it because it made no noise.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so high. I can't believe she could see. And then all of a sudden we see this thing zigzagging and zigzagging. And we're watching it and watching it. Then all of a sudden it illuminates and turns a bright gold. And then it kind of goes down and dip up and then shot straight through the sky. And we looked at one another and said, I'm glad you were here because nobody would have ever believed that. Now, the kicker for me was that the voice told me that one day I would see a UFO. But the first person who ever pointed me to my first one of many was this person right here to my right. And we saw both our firsts at the same time. She saw our first shooting star and she pointed me in the direction of my first UFO. Like, I kid you not. So it's one of those things where we know what it is that we've seen. And again, that was the first time of...
Right. I'm glad you keep saying the first.
The first time. The first time. So folks calling in.
Let's get it. Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and where you're calling from? Oh, that was one of the aliens, baby. They trying to come on through.
That's it. That's it. They do exist. Somebody on the line.
I'm sorry, Daddy.
Oh, that's nice.
Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Aunt Mo. Hello, Uncle City. How's everyone doing today?
Wonderful, baby. How you doing?
I'm doing quite well. I love this topic. And you know what? I was talking about this conversation with my best friend yesterday. And you know what? I don't believe in God in the traditional sense. Listen, there's never been any skulls or skeletons of this God that existed. We know all of the other heroes and beautiful people that existed, but we can't seem to find Moses. I can't find Adam. These people, we can't find their bodies, and we know once they put here, the last thing that will be left is your soul. So where are their bones at? And it's so sad because you have people that is dying in this life. And the truth about life is we are the gods. We are the symbol of life. We are the creator of nature. We evolved from the plant. We evolved from the ocean. Of course, we're going to go on to the next journey. There is no such thing as death. They want you to believe in that. They don't want you to know how powerful we are, but we are nothing but energy. That's all we are, female and male energy. That's it. It can end up anywhere. You know, there's a reason why cat, there's no difference. You don't know a male or female cat unless you look. There's a reason for that. It's energy. That's all we are. So that's all I wanted to say. Keep up this conversation. I really, really love it.
Thank you, baby.
We love you back.
Love you, honey. Come on, y'all. And again,
bravery.
And this is what this show is. This is what this is. No judgment, and be free to think freely.
Yes.
Did I put all of that together?
You did, baby.
Be free, to think freely. Because when you have a sister to call and say, I don't believe in God in the traditional sense, the traditional sense, most of us will be too afraid to say that out loud.
Right.
To say that out loud. And she's absolutely right. Where are these people?
Right.
Where are they? Where's Eve?
I don't know.
Where's Adam?
Does she come on to talk?
No, baby, that's Eve the rapper.
Oh, my bad.
Where are they? What were any of their last names?
And if you know the story of how our existence to be of us being here, that was written on stone tablets and deciphered by a man named Zechariah Sitchin, who spoke in reference to the Anunnaki that allegedly took DNA and they created us. When you hear about this, and ironically, there's some ironic twist in it, because when you listen to religion, you start hearing that one story has been taken from another story. And you start hearing that things such as when you hear the story of Sarah, and you hear the story of, what is my man's name? Abraham. Well, in India, Abraham was referred to as Brahm, not Abraham. But it's the same exact story that you hear amongst the Jews, amongst the Christians, amongst folks from Islam, the same story. I say all that to say that when you listen to the stories of the Anunnaki, they came here allegedly to mine for gold, to take care of what, for lack of a better word, their ozone layer. And it was helping them patch it up. But to mine for gold was such a difficult task for them that they created a worker race of beings to execute this chore. And the irony is, these are the first beings that they created. And the irony is, their names were the Adamu, Adamu. What in the Christian faith is Adam's name? Oh, but
I was
my bad.
saying his name, Adam.
What is the first man's name?
Adam.
Now, this is a story written on stone tablets. There are many other parallels, but our point is, when our sister says that she doesn't believe in God, we're not here to tell you don't do whatever. But if we look at it objectively, how would you know about the God that you believed in if no one told you about it?
Come on.
But if no one told individuals right now anything about UFOs, not only are there stories, but there's now video footage. And there are many people who have seen it for themselves. And I think the sister who said prior to, who was out of California, our sister said, I've seen more proof and more strange things than I have of the God that we've been sold on. So again, we respect everybody's opinion on whatever it is that they believe in. However, when we start removing ourselves from being cognitive dissonance and stop believing in things that there has been a lack of proof, and instead of believing in things that where there's a lack of proof, start being open-minded to things where you have proof, because it's a little odd that people have a tough time believing in something that you're seeing visual imagery of.
Yes.
But you believe in God and you've not had any proof, and you're saying you need to have faith in that. We'll tell you a personal story in a little bit in reference to that. I'm sorry.
That's all right, Daddy. Well, they left.
They left.
You know, when I see people in some of the comments and they're saying UFOs are demons, and it would make you ask the question, why? Why are they demons? What makes that demonic? And is it the arrogance of man that says we're the only ones? We can be the only ones. And if we are the only ones, and if God, as we've been taught, we made in his image, then where is the proof?
Where's the proof?
Let's go to the lines. Hey, baby, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Talk to us.
Hello?
Hello? Turn down, baby, and talk to us.
Hey, good afternoon, Monique. I am so happy and honored to have the chance to talk to you guys today. First of all, I want to say that I'm Blanche, originally from Cameroon, Central Africa, and I've been following you for a while. I have a huge respect for you and your husband and a huge love. Now, when it comes to God, like you said that, what do you believe in? As a Christian, I was born a Christian. Then my father took me to church, and my mom. Then I was doing everything that most people do. And when I come to this country 14 years ago, and I saw all the injustice that is against Black people, and I started doing my own research, and I found out that the way Black people believe in God is so wrong. Because actually, Black people believe in God in the sense that whatever they do to them, they're going to say, oh, it's okay, God is in control. Oh, if this thing happens, if they kill a Black person, it's the will of God. If this and this is all the stuff is like that. Then for me personally, what I believe is like we all have God in some sense. And we have the decision to do good or bad. Is the way you go about it. Because sometimes people believe that if you're a bad person, God's going to punish you. I have seen white people have done so much bad things they continue to do in Black people, and I don't see the punishment. Then for me, I was just prepare Black people to go to the way we were, like in Africa a long time ago, to believe ourselves and believe our traditions and take them to get power so that we can do things that are right for Black people. I don't go to church anymore because most of the time you go to church, people are just hypocrites. They say, sister, I love you, but outside of the church, they do evil to you. Then for me, I cannot go to a place that I feel that is supposed to be friendly, sisterly, and whatever, and people are supposed to genuinely really love each other, but they don't do so. They're just repeating the word of the Bible or to use us or to accuse of me. I believe that if God is in me, I have to believe in myself, I have to trust myself, I have to do the good thing to put to people. That's the word of God. Then I don't need especially to speak in Jesus' name, in God's name, and all that to be approved by God. If I know that you're a human being and I do good things for you, and I know that I have to do whatever I can do to support you and improve your life, that's a God thing. And you're not supposed to pray, morning, evening to do something to believe that you know God or you love God. That was just my input today, and more so because I really want to talk to you. I really appreciate you. I love you so much. And I always be backing you. Thanks again. Bye.
I love you.
Hey, well, before you go, we hugging you over here, and we love you. We love you because you ain't doing nothing but telling your truth. We appreciate you. I think she made her exit. Go ahead, baby. What you saying?
You know, our sister from Cameroon. And you had to listen, right? And I read the comments. That's why if y'all see me looking, it's because I'm reading. And I want to catch my words because I want to make sure I'm being tactful. Okay? And some of y'all was saying, she talking too fast. What is she talking about? Oh, come on. You had to listen. And what society has banked on when it comes to us, we don't listen. We just take people at their word. We don't do no research. We don't do no studying. We don't do nothing. We just take people at their word, especially in some cases if it's a white person, just whatever you say goes. And what that sister was saying is, I stopped going to church because it just was not making sense. And you have to ask yourself, why are we praising and dancing and singing and shouting to a God that we were taught and when we were chained up and locked up? And y'all know the story. So then she said, if you just treat people the way you want to be treated, that's it. I treat people how I want people to treat me, is what that sister was saying. If more of us got down like that, in my humble opinion, I don't believe you got to turn to Jeremiah 5 and 6 and 7. If you just treated people the way that you wanted to be treated, we'd be in a much better position. So we talking about it. Do you believe in UFOs and it's God and the aliens one and the same? Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and talk to us?
Talk to them again, baby. Tell I ain't hearing you.
Hey, sugar.
We've actually got you on the phone who's listening. We're talking to you. Come on. Say something to us. Okay. We're going to have to keep moving.
We try, baby. So we're going to give it a chance.
When we look at our history in terms of as Africans,
yes,
the African oral tradition that has existed 5,000 years is from a tribe called the Dogon tribe. The Dogon tribe, they were not talking anything in reference to any religion. They were talking about star beings that came from a place called Sirius B. Now, modern day scientists, or when they began to have telescopes, were unaware of the existence of this place called Sirius B, which was a dying star. And it wasn't until, from my understanding, the late 1800s that they saw it in 1975, where they actually really got a chance to see the imagery. But the oral tradition of the Dogon tribe, they have ceremonies surrounding these individuals. Now, again, the symbolism and the correlation between this and Christianity. The symbol for, or one of the symbols for Christianity that people see on the back of individuals' cars and stickers is the what?
The fish.
The fish.
Oh, I got it right, baby. I was like, I don't know that.
The irony of when the Dogon tribe first saw, and this is what, because I was like, what does the fish have to do with Christianity? Here's something that's very interesting. The Dogon tribe, when they first encountered these beings from Sirius B, they called it the Day of the Fish. And the reason why was because they came from space, went into the water, then came out of the water, and then they had conversation and educated these beings on certain things and where they were from and the heavens and so forth and so on. So we must say this. When you take on, and again, please understand, I'm of the mindset of what our sister said earlier, that we are energy. We get caught up in black and white. We get caught up in a whole lot of things, male, female, sexuality, the whole nine. But we're energy. And it doesn't matter to me who you praise in order to make you a loving person. As long as you are a loving person. In fact, the acronyms that we have for love is lifting our vibrational energy. That's what it means to us. But when we buy into something in terms of a religion, ever so humbly, that we were taught when we were made slaves, but we abandon the traditions of Africa from whence we come. Before there was this level of organized religion, we have to say, what have we bought into and what are we abandoning? That's it.
Okay.
That's it. That's it.
We are talking about it, babies. Do you believe in UFOs and aliens and God? One in the same. Now, I want to share this with them, Daddy.
And share the number with them first.
470-282-1802. The calling number is 470-282-1802. Now, when you heard Sid say initially in the beginning, one time, one of many, we see it so, is the word often?
Yes.
We see him so often that Sid would say to me sometime, Mama, you don't seem like you don't seem like you excited. It's like, oh, because I believe it. I know that it exists. It's not something that somebody's telling me or somebody's showing me in a book. My eyes, 1, 2, can look and see that ain't a plane. That's not a helicopter. And not having any fear saying that's what we're seeing.
Not having any fear. Well, I guess it means something different to me in the sense that when you have a voice that tells you certain things in your life that's going to happen, and every time you see it, it happens. And I said I was going to share a story that happened, and I've said this before, but for those of you who may not have heard it, in reference to we sometimes are more comfortable in hearing a story about God than actually seeing a situation that defies all of what we believe in. We were living in Calabasas, California at the time, in a place called Westlake Village. And very frequently, almost on a daily basis, when we would go to the pool in the evening with the boys, we would see what we would call our friends. And they get to flying and zigzagging by. And it was not uncommon for us to see it. We began to be very comfortable with the situations that transpired. Pardon me. My mother and my Aunt Dolores, they were going to be coming out to visit with us. And I said to my mother and my Aunt Dolores, hey, that's great. You'll get a chance to see our friends. And the night that they had this particular evening that they had come, it was the first time we had all been out there at the pool together. It's kind of like you going to the doctors and you going to tell the doctor about the pain that's bothering you, but you get to the doctors and it's not hurting. And this particular evening, nothing flew overhead, nothing came by. So as we were leaving and walking up the steps to go into the house from the pool, I looked at the sky and I said, come on, friends, why don't you show Aunt Dolores and Grandma Paulie what you let us see on a daily basis? And maybe 5 seconds went by, and then a small white light appeared directly above us, and it got larger and larger and larger and larger until it stopped. And it just sat there. And then it flew off and zigzagged off, and right before our eyes, the terminology, it left from whence it came, or something to that degree. As we saw it, it disappeared right before our eyes. It did not fly out of view. It disappeared right before our eyes. Now, I'm talking in reference to my mama, my Dolores. So my mama would be calling me right up and saying, boy, what is you talking about? Because that ain't happening. At that point, my mother, who is a church-going woman, all day long, began to scream and shout and jump up and down. If I had a basketball in the rim, I believe she would have gave Ed Jordan a run for his money. because she could have dumped it. That's how high she was jumping.
She'd have crossed them over.
She wouldn't have to cross them. She just would have leaped from where she was. And she's a very conservative person. Fast forward to the next morning. And I said to my mother, I said, what did you think about last night in that experience? And she said, I think that was just a planet that we saw yesterday. My Aunt Dolores said, Pauline, don't you do that. Don't you do that to him. You know what you saw. But in that moment, what it made me say is, and I love my mama. I always love my mama.
Come on.
But it made me say, it is easier for my mother to believe in a God that she has never seen than it is for her to believe in something that she has. So when we hear and see people saying they don't believe it and you've never seen it, we can completely understand, because my mother had a tough time believing what it was that she saw. And she knows that planets don't appear, fly, and then disappear. She's got 2 master's degrees, and she's got a master's degree in education. So she knows pretty much about the pattern of planets. So we're saying this to say, it's a scary thing to believe something other than what you've always been told. But this is the way that we grow as human beings, and especially in our culture. We can't be better as people if we don't believe what it is that we know is true. And we buy into things that we really have no proof of, and people are asking you just to have faith. If you can have faith in something that you have never seen and will never see, why is it so challenging to have belief in something that you did see?
Come on, y'all. We're talking about it. Hey, you're on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and where you calling from?
This is Tamika. I'm calling from Kansas City, Missouri.
Hey, Tamika. Talk to us, baby.
Yes, I want to speak upon the alien situation.
Speak upon it.
Well, I have been seeing them ever since I was a little girl, and just recently, last month, I looked up and I seen them, and I'm beginning to think that it's a all the time activity. Everywhere I go, they there. I have took pictures, caught them on videos, and I'm trying to like figure out, like, it seems like a part of me, or I have questions that I don't know who to ask because people don't believe in it. So when I speak about it, it makes me feel like I'm crazy, and I know for a fact that I'm not. So when I speak about it, people look at me like, yeah, but yeah, I do find some people that say, yeah, I have seen it too. So that makes me feel a lot, confident in what I see and what I have recorded and what I have took pictures of.
May I ask you, are there moments when you can almost feel as if they are outside?
Yes, every time I go outside, I give myself, I've been timing myself, I give myself 3:45 to an hour, and I will look up and they right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's far distance. I have seen some real close. I have took some pictures of them closer. And I just recently shot a video 2 months ago where I was traveling and I put the camera video out the window and I caught it again and it was following me. So I don't know what to say about that, but that's what I experienced.
I ever so humbly, I think that there are people who, one of our callers said earlier, who we as human beings, again, in my humble opinion, we're antennas. And we pick up different things depending upon the way the antenna is operating, the way it is pointed. And there are vibrations and energy that I believe that that those people who are connected to otherworldly beings, they're just connected to them. It's no different than how you're connected to your friend that you hadn't talked to in 6 months and you thought about him yesterday, and then they call you the next day because you had been on their mind. This is how universal energy can work. But that's a more relatable situation, and it's something that you can accept. Most people can accept, but you can't appreciate it until you're in it. My punk ass have been in situations where I was caught on video and my wife saying it laughing, where I'm making a quick dash because it was a little too close for comfort and I had to make a move. They've been directly over our home, but I felt it before you could see it. So there are connections that we have. And see, when you are a person of color, see, white people are allowed to see this shit because they'll say white people, that's what they do. But we as black people, shit, you got to go to work, okay? You got to get your job. You can't see these, but we are made up of the vibrational energy as well. So we are prone to see things that maybe individuals don't see. But there's also something my grandmother used to tell me. She said, you can't necessarily tell everybody everything that you know, because what it is that you saw may have been meant for only you to see.
Right.
So we appreciate you calling and telling us your truth, because we got to keep telling the truth and keep speaking about it. And we love you, sister. And keep that video camera with you. Keep it with you.
We love you, baby. Come on, y'all. We're talking about it. We're talking about it. Do you believe in UFOs? And it's God and aliens, all one and the same. And you know, I don't know if it's a matter of, well, no, let me share this first.
Okay.
So one night about 3 o'clock in the morning, right? We were living in another home. I turn over, and you know how you turn over and you rub, like I'm going to touch him. I was going to touch Sid or touch his back, but I didn't feel anything. So I get up and I go to see if he's in the bathroom. But then he calls me, Mama, I'm out front. So I go out the front of the house with him. And he says to me, I've been standing out here for some time, just watching these ships go back and forth, just back and forth like crazy. So I'm standing there, and keep in mind, it's like 3-something in the morning. So he says to me, one is getting ready to come over the house. Okay.
I had been out since 3 in the morning. It was later than that when you came out.
Okay. Sorry, I got the time wrong. What time was it? Was it still dark?
It was borderlining on getting light. It was maybe about 5:45.
Okay. So he says, one is getting ready to come over the house. And when I look up, sure enough, here comes one over the house.
But when you say here comes one, what do you mean by here comes one? To give the description of what here comes one means.
Here comes this light, right? And when you see a plane, you know, you see the red blinking light and the blue blinking light, like you can see the bottom of a plane and you can hear it. Well, with this, it was just a light. And it just came, no noise, no sound. Just kept going. So,
my baby, I don't never want to disagree with you.
Well, baby, disagree with me if you got to.
I got to, because that's not how I did.
Well, what did it do?
What it did was, when we turned around to go into the house, it appeared and disappeared all in one motion. That's what was crazy. It wasn't no flight. Well, that's why I said, what do you mean by it flew over the house? When it appeared, it went from nothingness to something, and this was this brilliant light, and then it just disappeared. So it was
that's
like,
my damn interpretation.
okay, well,
'Cause
that ain't what you said.
You're
That ain't
right,
what you
Shirley,
said.
you're
It made
right.
me think you talking about it just flew away. Now, there was one that had flown, because you had seen about 3 before we had seen that. But it's like this had appeared and disappeared. And what it made me say was, while you're sitting there watching them, just because you don't see anything does not mean they're not sitting there watching you.
Come on now.
So it's amongst the multitude of experiences that we've had. So for those of you out here who have seen them and you're afraid to say that you've seen them, we understand.
And start looking up.
Start looking up.
Start looking up. You'd be surprised what you see. Do you know what scares me? Literally. Go to the airport. Walk through the airport. When I tell you everybody is down, I refuse to look down on my phone while I'm sitting in the airport. Because I'm like, if some shit pop off, you have to. But everybody is down.
They are. They are.
What are we trying to be prevented from seeing? Just start looking up. I'm sorry, baby.
That's all right.
Just start looking up. And you'll see the traffic that be popping off in the sky.
You go out there on a clear night and you stand out there around 3 o'clock in the morning. Get a chance, Saturday, just doing nothing. Saturday, oftentimes on a clear night, check it out in the evening around 8, 9 o'clock on a Friday night. And you'd be surprised of what you can see. But at the end of the day, history has shown that there are a multitude of stories and a multitude of proof showing that these things exist in a way that kind of supersedes our understanding about what we hear in reference to God, because of the physical proof. And when you have 60 some children that are witnessing in Zimbabwe this craft that landed. And the interesting thing was, some of the young people said they had the feeling that these beings were communicating with them. And what they were saying was, you're messing up the planet with technology. This is 1994. You're messing up the planet with technology. What does a child who's 10, 11 know about messing up the planet with technology? But look at what we're doing. We're messing up the planet with technology.
Look at what we're doing. How many G's do we need?
Shit.
Because they said that these G's, if you walk past a pole or something, they got the G's on it. Now you got the heebie-jeebies.
Oh, come on.
Let's come on. Hey, you on with Monique and Sydney. Who's this and where you're calling from?
What are you answering, Monique? Hi, how are you? Let me turn down my computer because I don't want to see that.
Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. Oh, okay. Before we go into the topic right now, and please forgive me, listeners, because I have to talk to my sister and my brother. Hello, brother Sid.
Hey.
So, okay, I called you last year. It was July 3rd, and I know the date specifically because it's the date I called you, I was crying on the phone, and I told you that I had a biopsy that day. Don't know if you remember me. And I was thanking you for not selling out, for saying no, for standing up, taking a stand. And I thank Brother Sidney for having your back and holding you down. As a real man, he's supposed to hold his queen down. So fast forward to August, I got my results. No, the following day, as a matter of fact, I got the call because I remember there was an earthquake in LA, and so I remember the whole thing. I was in so much pain when I called you. Following day, they called me and told me that they needed me to come in. Yeah, it was positive and all of that stuff. So anyways, here we are now, almost a year later. I had a mastectomy. I had a surgery where they removed my stomach. I can't remember right now. I'm kind of excited, so I'm like, I'm messing everything up. But anyways, I just want to stress to the listeners, early detection is key. Please, ladies, please do your self-check at home. I checked myself because what was happening, and I'll tell you one of the little things that they keep saying, cancer doesn't hurt. If your breast hurts, it's not cancer. It's not true. For me, anyway. I was having, for what I think was maybe a month prior to me checking my boob, I was going home and I'm constantly feeling this pain. It was almost like a radiating hairline pain going through my breast. Whenever, sorry, I'm not trying to be graphic. This is just being real. Because I believe in, women, you can save your life. Early detection. So I kept feeling this pain. I was like, no, this is not normal for me. Why am I keeping feeling this pain? And I got home from work one day and said, you know what, let me just do my check. And I checked myself and I felt a little lump, Sister Monique. And it was right in the 3 o'clock spot in my boob, right close to my chest.
Mm-hmm.
And instantly I picked the phone up and I called the doctor's office and I said, you know what, I felt a lump in my breast and I need to come and see the doctor. The receptionist on the phone, she told me, oh, we can't see. Remember, this is July. She said, we can't see until the end of August. I said, so I'm telling you that I felt a lump in my breast and you want to tell me to wait for a month before I can come and see the doctor? So I decided to walk in the following day. I got through with it less than an hour of being in the doctor's office. They sent me right over and put the ball got rolling. But I say this to say, whenever you call the doctor's office, do not be put off. It's better to get the result and it's nothing than to sit and have it lingering and turn into something worse. Thank God for me, I caught it at stage 0. It was still in the staff, but I was still required to have mastectomy. And so here I am a year later, still trying to, every day is different. The challenges with the emotions that come with it. I have to be on this medication for 5 years. I tell you this medication, that's another story for another day. But I'm going to say, please, ladies, even men, because men are being diagnosed with breast cancer, is crazy. Please, early detection. Whenever you feel something, do not go in denial mode. That is the easiest and safest space. It is easiest space, but it's not the safest space to be.
We appreciate the love.
Let the doctor tell you no.
We appreciate that, baby. And
so I have something to talk on the subject that we're talking about. I've actually seen as an unidentified flying object, and I have proof of it because I pulled my phone out and I actually captured the image. I was going home from work one night. No, I'm in Sherman Oaks, California. Lord, I probably shouldn't say where I was. I am. But I was going home from work. I stopped at the bank, and then I was driving on this little side road off of Ventura Boulevard. And sister, I saw this. What I saw was an airplane, but the light was so bright and it was so low. And when you're in the moment, sometimes you're not thinking. I was so tired. I had a long day at work, and I was like, "This lady, what is this light coming towards me?" And I pulled my phone out and I started film. I got pictures. It wasn't film. I was taking the stills. And so let me tell you something. Within what felt like, first of all, this thing was probably, I'm saying, like a mile away from me at the time when I saw it. Within what felt like seconds, this thing was above me. No one thinking back. And after showing, everybody, my clients, the pictures that I'm like, you have the iPhone, the iPhone do the live pictures. So when I pressed my thumb down on it, I saw how fast this thing was actually moving. And it felt like 1 second it was a mile away, and then the other second it was right above me. And of course, it didn't stop. It passed. But I was so happy that I captured the image because what this image showed me was not out of an airplane. The light, I saw the lights going all around this whatever this thing is, right? And then I think back and I was like, wait a minute, an airplane would not be that low, for one. And number two, if an airplane was that low, it would make noise because airplanes are noisy.
yes.
This thing made absolutely no noise. And I was like, oh my God, I think I actually saw a UFO. And then my contact kept saying to me, have you ever Googled, images and the lights that you saw and all of that? And when I started Googling, the same image that I saw on my photograph is what I saw on YouTube saying that unidentified flying object photographed and viewed. I was like, oh my God.
So what we know is with these conversations. And first, let me say this, baby. Thank you so much for calling in. And we love you, sis.
And thanks for the information.
Yes, thank you, my baby. And what we want to say is too, she said early detection is important. So please, sisters, pay attention to that. Mm-hmm. And I know she said, well, I'm going to go get to my topic, but we appreciate her for sharing that, because somebody listening right now, putting it off, and she's saying early detection is important. So we appreciate that. And I think what we got to today, Daddy, is people saying, no, it's real.
It's real. And it's easy to brush it off. But, you know, what will be helpful in our society is we say what it is that we see and stop being afraid of the ridicule associated with it by people who sometimes have seen it and sometimes those who haven't. That just reminded me of the governor of Phoenix when the Phoenix Lights flew over Phoenix some years ago. And he did this little spoof and brought an alien into the press conference the next day, only for a year or so later for him to apologize and admit he had seen the exact same things too, but he was too afraid to say it. So there's a metaphor in this, and that is, don't be afraid to say what it is that you know. And sometimes we got to be careful about supporting things that we don't know because it's the easy way out, because you got people that, you know, are holding back truths just because they're afraid of being ridiculed. But I think that's our time, my baby.
I think that's our time, Daddy. Well, we appreciate y'all watching today, baby. Tell a friend, tell another friend, and tell how many more?
Many more.
10 more. And let it keep going. And we want to thank y'all, because y'all could have been anywhere else today, but you decided to be right here with us. So like my daddy always says, the mind is like a parachute.
It is no good unless it's open.
We love y'all.
For free.
Bye, babies.
Bye-bye.
Bye, sweetness.